In this module, we will learn about the most important thing of a project, the value proposition. When you try to present a project in the shortest way possible, this is the only thing that you should say. This is true for any project, not just startups. In this module, you will learn what the value proposition is, how to define it, and why it is key for your communication. Let's start with the number one mistake that is made about value proposition. We see this all the time for new projects. It is to confuse the value proposition with the offer. But your value proposition is not your offer. The offer of a project is pretty straightforward. It's usually the first thing you think about when you have a new idea. You can be an architect with a new design that you want to promote to your boss. You can be a social worker with a new idea to help the homeless people. But for the sake of simplicity, I will talk as if you were working on a startup and you have a product to sell. But it works the exact same way for any project. So your offer is what you have to sell in real terms. It needs to be practical. For instance, I sell a phone application that allows you to manage your bank account. You can check what are your biggest spending, you can automate your savings, and so on. That's very practical. You know what functions and options you are buying. But that's absolutely not your value proposition. Your value proposition should answer the following question. Why should I care about your offer? Your value proposition is centered on others. In the opposite, your offer is centered on you. Let's take an example. I sell cars. That's my offer. You pay me, you will get a car. But with just the offer, you have no idea why you should buy my car instead of any other one. Now, if I tell you, do you want all eyes on you? I have the car for you. You know what value I bring to you. If you feel the need to show off your social status, then you can be the one of the very few in the world that can possess my car. I think you get the point. Your value proposition is not your offer. So, second part, how do we formulate our value proposition in 20 seconds? Well, value proposition is created with empathy. We have an incredible ability. When we see someone suffering, we will immediately feel a part of that suffering. More generally, whatever the situation is, we are able, with very few clues, to grasp a bit of what someone is feeling. That ability is called empathy. It doesn't rely on rational thoughts or precise analysis of a situation, but it relies on an instantaneous feeling. It's very powerful. And well, this is exactly what you will be doing when defining your value proposition. You build on the ability of others to feel the problematic situation you are addressing and then understand what value your project brings. Okay, how do you do that? We start by defining the problem of the people we are serving. The problem needs to be important enough that it demands a solution. If the problem you identify is too small, it will never be important enough for people to act to resolve it. It is an essential task you have. You need to be really close to the people you want to serve. You want to understand what their biggest needs are, for which they will spend money, time, and resources in general. That's the first part. Write down the problem that people really want to solve. The name for that is the pain point. Then you write down your product, service, or idea. Now we come to the value proposition. You write down how your offer solves the pain point. it should be less than 2 lines. If it's longer than that, then probably you have not identified the pain point. Let's take an example. I will go like that. The pain point, then the value proposition, then the offer, and finally the name of the company example. So pain points. Users' manuals or users' leaflets are horrible. Nobody reads them. Value proposition, a smartphone that can be used by a 3 years old without any explanation. The offer is just an ergonomic smartphone with all recent functions. And that is what Apple has done. So why does all this matters? And this is part 3, because value proposition is the key in your communication. Why does it not work? Why it doesn't work if you communicate with only your offer? It's because your offer is centered on you, your product, your functionalities, you. See the problem? That sounds a bit self-centered, and people are egocentrics. They prefer hearing about them, not you. People like when you talk about them, when you are interested in their problems. That is why it works when you communicate around your value proposition. With it, they will be able to project themselves into the problem and into the solving. Because if you have done it correctly, your value proposition is centered around the users, the customers. It's talking about their pain points. Now you can get their attention and they will want to learn more about what you propose. Empathy is a communication hack, so use it. Let's sum up the module. First, value proposition is not your offer. Second, you build your value proposition with empathy. And third, because empathy is a communication hack. Now, please check the exercise and thank you for listening. I will see you in the next module.